Good morning. We are here today at the Atlantic City Convention Center and the League of Municipalities annual conference for a press conference with elected officials who are calling for swift passage of the New Jersey Climate Superfund Act. And our first speaker is Legislative District 32, prime sponsor of this critical legislation, Assemblyman John Allen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is a beautiful day to make polluters pay. Let's hear that. It's a beautiful day to what?
Make
polluters pay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a radical proposition. We were all born and raised with the instruction, if you break it, you buy it. That is what we are asking our state legislature and governor to help us do. Think of it as a common sense infrastructure bill. We are all, across the state of New Jersey, municipalities from the north, south, the center of this state, are paying millions of dollars to fix the impact caused by climate change. This is the way to fund those repairs, to fund the mitigating plans that municipalities like Hoboken have done. They have shown us the way, but it's all been borne on the back of the taxpayers. That needs to change. That is not fair. That is not justice. What we saw the other week on Election Day, climate change and the impact of it is not a partisan issue. It doesn't impact just red states or blue states. But we did learn something. Those who deny climate change and the science behind it, they lost handedly in this general election. So my message to the leadership of the legislature is take comfort in that victory and be bold. Let's pass this act. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblyman Allen. Our next speakers are Atlantic City Council President Aaron Randolph and Atlantic City Council Vice President Kaleem Shabazz.
We are here today to underscore our support for the passage of this bill for three quick reasons. Number one, it affects the entire state. Number two, it is something that we have to do in the situation that we live in. And number three, it impacts the people that we represent, lead urban representation in a disparate way. So we want our legislators to understand that climate change is real for everyone, but it's doubly impacted people who are under-resourced, who are underserved. That's who the council president and I represent in Atlantic City. Right here in the district that you're in, this is the 3rd Ward. Right across the street is the largest public housing sentiment in the state. And these people will be doubly impacted. So we are here to support this bill. We thank all of the activists for their support, and we encourage our legislators to make sure that they understand that climate change is not only real, it's even more real for people who are poor and people who are underserved, and we must pass this bill to make an impact on them.
Thank you so much. There's perhaps no one at the local level who has done more to prepare our communities for our changing climate than our next speaker, who is Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? As you can see, from Atlantic City all the way up to Hoboken and everywhere in between, people want change on this issue. And as the council president just said, this is not just a climate issue, this is an issue of environmental justice and civil rights for underserved communities.
Right.
It's a very important point. Restorative justice in this context is very important. So thank you all for being here today. As you all know, New Jersey is at a pivotal moment in our fight against the climate crisis. The decisions we make now will determine the future of our community and our ability to keep us safe. The Climate Superfund Act is not just another bill. It is about climate accountability for our state, and it finally shifts the financial burden of climate change off of local taxpayers and onto corporations that created this crisis in the first place. And for a city like Hoboken, this is absolutely critical. This is exactly why the Climate Superfund Act matters. The bill would create a $50 billion fund, $2.5 billion every year for the next 20 years to help towns across New Jersey pay for flood protection, drainage upgrades, road and bridge improvements, home elevations, clean water protections, emergency response programs, and more. These are not luxuries or optional improvements. These are projects that we need, and we want our communities to remain livable and safe. And the funding comes from where it should. The largest oil and gas companies in the world, whose emissions knowingly fueled the climate crisis and left towns working overtime to meet the demands of a changing climate and keeping up with mounting costs. So let me be very clear about what this bill does not do. It does not raise gas prices. It does not impose new costs on consumers. It does not create new regulations on everyday businesses. And we are not reinventing the wheel here. New York and Vermont have already passed similar bills. Why can't we do that here in New Jersey as well?
We can.
New Jersey should be leading, not falling behind on climate accountability.
That's right.
And we have the public behind us. We have the municipalities behind us. And we have bipartisan support in the legislature, so we need to act now. So I'm calling directly and unequivocally on our state legislature to get this done. Advance this bill, bring it to a vote, and pass the Climate Superfund Act without delay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor Bala. And our next speaker is no stranger to the devastating impacts of extreme weather. Let's give a warm round for Lambertville Mayor Andrew Nowick.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
When Tropical Storm Ida swept through Lambertville, it left incredible destruction in its wake. Our little city of 1.2 square miles on the Delaware logged 440 individual property damage declarations, 130 of which came from homes not located anywhere near a flood zone, and 2 of those homes were completely destroyed. The city sustained heavy damage to its infrastructure, and 45 families had to be evacuated from the village apartments by boat at that event. The entire apartment complex. Homes and business owners were traumatized both emotionally and financially, and at least 50 families left Lambertville as a direct result of property damage and financial hardship. Behind these numbers are my neighbors, the people I know, the people I serve, and the people who have cried in my office not knowing how they were going to recover. New Jersey communities are facing the worsening impacts of climate change. To our credit, and out of necessity, we meet the challenge with a commitment to resilience. Homeowners who elevate their mechanicals above flood level, local and county officials whose job it is to educate, advocate, apply for grants, partner with stakeholders, state officials who undertake the science, report the data, and offer grants and technical support. As officials, we work tirelessly and we take our responsibility for public safety as a sacred commitment. But it's not enough to overcome the enormity of a mercurial and changing climate, and New Jerseyans bear a disproportional financial burden. The New Jersey Climate Superfund Act would provide an estimated $50 billion in dedicated funding over the next 20 years for climate adaptation and resiliency projects. As a mayor, I am willing to work my fingers to the bone to make Lambertville more resilient and better prepared. I will chase every grant. I will tell my community the hard news about our infrastructure needs. I will go out in the pouring rain and clear storm drains. There's much work that needs to be done, and it's all laid out in Lambertville's Municipal Resilience Action Plan. But I need funding to keep these projects moving. Our towns and cities need more funding, and it needs to come from a stable, reliable source that will lessen our burden and share our responsibilities. The New Jersey Climate Superfund Act is a huge opportunity for our municipalities to build resilience and protect our communities, and I urge our elected officials to support the bill and pass it before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. It's clear that this legislation is not only good policy, it is good politics. Candidates in this last General Assembly election who endorsed and co-sponsored the Climate Superfund bill overwhelmingly performed well against their counterparts who did not. And we are joined today by the Assemblywoman-elect from the 32nd Legislative District. Let's give a warm round of applause for Katie Brennan.
Good morning, New Jersey.
Good morning.
You've heard, you break it, you buy it. You've heard about the devastating impacts and the lives lost, the families destroyed, financially devastated. You've heard about all of that. You've heard about how this is a no-brainer and it makes sense and that other states have led the way and we should join them. But let's also be clear, as you see these signs, this is not an option because yes, it makes sense and it makes sense for the people of New Jersey, but it's not that we won't pay for it. It's just who pays for it. And we will pay for it 10, 100 times over. If you do not clean up our messes and protect for the future, we will pay for it 100 times over, but people will be worse off. Those homes will continue to be destroyed and literal lives will be lost. So when we say that it's a no-brainer, when we say you break it, you buy it, why not pass it? Who are we protecting? Who are we protecting by not passing this? Because the people that we should be protecting are the people of New Jersey. So I hope that I do not have to pass this bill because I hope that it passes swiftly by the end of this year. So thank you all. And let's fight for the people that we all love here in New Jersey.
And let's make polluters pay.
Make polluters pay.
Thank you so much, Katie. And support for this bill is growing quickly. We now have 40 sponsors in the General Assembly as well as 19 sponsors in the Senate. We have over 60 towns and cities all across New Jersey who've passed resolutions calling for the swift passage of this bill. Our next speaker represents one of those municipalities. Let's give a warm round for Ben Forrest, council member from Red Bank, New Jersey.
So Red Bank is a hub in our area. We have a hospital, and we are impacted by climate change like everyone. And so our taxpayers are impacted, as you mentioned, by the costs associated with cleaning up the mess that others have made. And so it's a fairness issue to us. And so our mayor and our council unanimously passed a resolution supporting this and call on our state legislature to get this done. Let's do it because it's right and it's just. And you shouldn't dump on others. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Councilman. I wanted to invite up our next speaker. John Weber is a leader in the fight for climate change. He and his council passed a resolution in support of this critical legislation, and perhaps no community in New Jersey knows what the infrastructure needs are to adapt to our changing climate than Bradley Beach does. So let's give a warm round for Councilman John Weber of Bradley Beach.
Hey everybody, John Weber, Councilman from Bradley Beach. We passed this resolution unanimously, without hesitation. To orient you, Bradley Beach is a small town on the Atlantic Ocean. We have lakes on either side. We were impacted by Hurricane Sandy, and I have to tell you, it was probably 8 or 9 years until we finally settled the bills with FEMA. We need a fund that we can go to. Every town in New Jersey needs a fund that they can go to. We need to pass this law now. We need to make polluters pay. Thank you very much.
At this point, that concludes the formal program. I would like to invite any other elected officials who haven't yet said any words of support for this legislation. But thank you all for being here. Thank you to the leadership. Let's give a warm round for all of the elected officials who are leading the way to make New Jersey stronger than the next storm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Dawson.